Hey everyone, this is Bill MacDonald, the Common Sense Math Doctor, and it's going to be common sense when you look at these 4 questions that I'm going to show you why the math scores are so low in Texas. I'm going to be just really honest with you. The reason the math scores are so low in Texas every year is because the programs and curriculums that are being used are not complete enough to accommodate the learning styles of your students. And part of that is going to be that you didn't bring me to your school to work with you and your students, because I'm a math and reading and writing consultant. I travel around Texas and I'm willing to work with you or your students while you observe. And so I'm going to show you at the end of this video that if you would have brought me, if you would have gotten my materials, if you would have been even a member on my common sense math club, the percentages that you're about to see on these 4 questions will not be anywhere near they are this year. And I'm a little bit frustrated because I feel like I have so much to offer, but there's certain people in certain places that they tie your hands to a specific curriculum and you're not allowed to go outside of that little box, and you all have to be teaching the same thing the same way, even though you have a bunch of students who are supposed to be getting differentiated instruction and learn things in different ways because they see and hear and taste and touch and smell differently than you do, than I do. What's more important than our teaching style is our students, plural, possessive learning styles. We have to think of ways that will help them remember things, not until they walk out of that classroom, but for the rest of their life. I can tell you that almost every one of my math students I've ever had could still tell you one of my strategies 10, 20, 30 years after they've been out of my classroom, because of the way that I'm about to teach you now. I'm going to show you the 4 lowest performing math problems, one after the other, in 4th grade. And I want you to pay close attention to see how easy it is to teach kids using total physical responses, and even zooming into keywords that some say is the unpardonable sin to do, that will help your kids who have trouble reading entire paragraphs work on the sentence called the question. If you have trouble with the whole question, then look at the keywords in that question, because that's where the teak comes from, the essential knowledge and skill. That's where the student expectation. If you do not teach in Texas, I'm going to make sure the video description tells you what each skill is. And here we go, rock and roll. I'm going to share first. What you could have purchased was my mathematics chart that has a checklist that does not start with cubes, because circling doesn't really help if you're not telling them that they have to read the question and the problem solo, either softly or loudly, where they're looking to see the question, they're saying the question, they're hearing and listening to the question and thinking, what strategy was I taught for this kind of a question? Then they can start looking through the problem and being able to execute. And while they're doing that, they'll underline and understand all of the keywords. They'll label as they look for keywords in the problem. They can use highlighters, they can use brackets, whatever. They'll evaluate the problem, starting to think, what strategy should I use? They will execute the strategy instead of ugly. Too many kids, their math strategies are so messy you can't understand it and they can't understand it, and they're probably making careless mistakes because they're allowed to write messy and get away with it. Let's eliminate extra information, then we can eliminate and explain wrong answers. The cool thing about the letter E, the letter E it has 3 sticks. We're going to eliminate 3 answers and explain why they're wrong. And we'll select one, search for errors, then we'll bubble in our Scantron or submit in our document, or we might have a grid response. Now, here's a place value chart with whole numbers, decimals, and percents, and money, which a lot of you don't have. And we also have a keywords chart, and I even highlighted for you the problems that were only keywords we needed for these problems. And here we go. Number 14 in 4th grade. What is the area of the playground in square feet? The second my ears hear the word area, my mouth is going to say length times width. My body is going to respond with length times width. So I know that I'm not doing the perimeter, add up all sides. So what your students did, instead of doing the area, which was asked about, they probably were taught to read the problem first, which is a problem for a lot of kids because the problem is not what's being asked with a question mark. The question is what's being asked. And so what is the area, length, L, times X, width, W. The width of the playground, square playground, is shown in feet, 20 feet. That's the width. So the length, because it's a square playground, would also be 20 feet. Area, length times width, 20 times 20. All your kids had to do was write 20 times 20, 2 times 2 is 4, and the shortcut was zeros. You have 2 zeros. So the product of 20 and 20 is 400. But if your kids just added up 2 sides because they thought it said length plus width, no, it didn't say that. It didn't say perimeter, add up all sides. It wouldn't be 80, which would have been G. And so half the kids that got the answers wrong chose that. So the answer is 400. And when you put your keyword 400, what? Square feet is the answer. Letter H. Number 15, only 18% of the kids in the entire state of Texas got it right because it was a paragraph. I'm going to pretend like I have trouble reading. I've got 12 packages. I don't know what they are. Oh, it's erasers. Each package, 43 erasers. Since package is not the same as erasers, those keywords are different. If every single package has 43 erasers, I'm going to multiply to find out how many total erasers that I have. Step 1. Then if I'm going to take those 6 erasers at a time and put them into a bag, they just wanted to know, what is the number of bags? Well, if you're taking something and putting and separating them, then you divide. So step 1, multiply, get your product. Step 2, divide your product by the divisor of 6, and you will get a quotient of whatever 12 times 43 divided by 6 is, will be the quotient. The answer when you divide the product of these two numbers by the divisor of 6 that are being placed into each bag to find the number of bags. And you would use the grid response for that. Number 16. Buying and selling. When you buy stuff, money leaves your wallet, your purse. You subtract, money goes out, red. So I have 2 monkeys here, and my monkeys, as I mentioned in some other videos, look like S's. They can also look like dollar signs. So some money is going out. How much money went out? $12. If you sell things, the three things that you bought, the dress, the sweater, and the shorts, money comes in. So profit is the money that came in minus the money that went out. That's called the difference. Difference, you subtract. And so all your kids had to do was add these three numbers using my mathematics chart that separates whole numbers from the decimals with the cents on the other side to add them up. Step one, subtract $12, which was what she bought, and you would have had a difference and have been able to figure out the profit, and only 35% of the kids knew what the difference between sold and bought meant. So I want you to take a look at my mathematics chart. Perimeter, add up all sides. They didn't ask that. They asked down here for the area of squares and rectangles is length times width in square units. Square units, what were we using? Feet. So it would have been in square feet. Okay, so make sure your kids understand when you buy things, money goes out. You subtract. When you sell things, money comes in. You can add. And so the money, let's add green, these three, and then subtract red, $12, and you'll get the difference when you subtract, and you'll find the right answer. Number 17, what type of triangle has perpendicular sides? Perpendicular, keep that in mind. Perpendicular, right angle, 90 degrees. I'm doing karate math. Acute, that could be two parts of a triangle. They didn't say acute, they said perpendicular. Perpendicular means that they form 90 degrees. So if you look at my common sense math folder, it was right there for your students' viewing pleasure. I highlighted it. Let me see if I can get rid of the, there it is, right angle, 90 degrees, perpendicular, and you would use your arms to form 90-degree angles. So the only thing that we see here, we don't see 90 degree, we see right triangle, right angle, perpendicular, 90 degrees. And all of a sudden, those 48%, as soon as they hear a perpendicular, their arms would form at 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock, or 12 o'clock and 9 o'clock to make right angles, to make 90-degree angles. So I'm just wanting to share with you how easy math can be if we don't tie teachers' hands and we don't tie our students' hands to only do things a certain way. Remember that some kids are not GT, they're not gifted talkers or gifted readers, they're ED, not emotionally disturbed. We just have to explain differently. And when we figure out how to explain things differently to students, all of a sudden the lights are going to come on and they'll stay on. I could ask my students about right triangles who were my students 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and their arms will automatically form at 9 and 12 o'clock, at 3 and 12 o'clock, because they understood that if I say to them area, they'll either say count the squares. either the shaded or the unshaded in the lower grades, or they'll say length times width. They will see that keywords that are the same, you add or subtract. When the keywords are different, you multiply or divide. That when you buy things, money leaves you, it goes away, you subtract. When you sell things, you get money, the green monkeys. Then you find out your profit, you subtract. Difference of your money that you made minus the money that you lost equals your profit. So please share this math video with some of your teacher friends. Please join my common sense math. Type come on sense, and I'll show it to you on my mathematics chart so that you can see how it's going to be spelled. You type those words, come on sense and math, you'll be able to join my math club. And if you email me, I can go ahead and give you some information on trainings. You can go to my website at www.therightprescription.com, but it's easier just to email me and I can give you the link if you'd like. I'm very frustrated that those questions were right in a row on the test and they performed so low. It was, let me see, 33%, 18%, 35%, and 45, not even 50% on 4 questions in a row on the 4th grade test. And so I'm begging you, follow me for the rest of this school year. I've had dozens of teachers tell me, Bill, I've never met you in person. I just follow you. I get your materials and my scores. I just put a post up last week. Somebody wrote that their scores went up 40% just in 1 year from following me. If I get to work with your students and you get to see me doing the strategies in front of you, it makes even a bigger difference because it's not me telling you what to do with you, it's me showing you how to do it with them. And so I look forward to seeing many of you soon. Please type the words Come On Sense Math in the Facebook search module part, and you'll be able to click join. I'll accept you and go ahead and share as many of my math videos as you can with teachers who are struggling with different ways to teach difficult things. Thank you guys, and God bless.